Hello and welcome to a new episode of Business Insiders. Dear viewers, I'm Mohammed Abdelrahim. And tonight we'll be talking about the industrial cities in Egypt, including the new industrial cities and their role in economic development, growth, and the creation of jobs and the creation of even new communities. We'll also be talking about the importance of the local component in the industry, as Egypt's vision is to localize, try to depend more on local components in its industry, and we'll be doing that in the company of our dear guest with us here in the studio, Dr. Zeinab Nawar, who is the professor of economics at the Egypt University of Informatics. A very good evening to you, Dr. Zeinab. Always a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you so much.
And the Egypt University of Informatics is located in the new administrative capital here in Egypt. Dear viewers, Dr. Zeinab, allow us first to watch a report on the topic and then come back and start our discussion.
Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli has stressed the necessity of developing an integrated vision for manufacturing production inputs locally in coordination between the Ministry of Trade and Industry, all business federations and export councils, along with holding upcoming meetings chaired by the cabinet to review this vision in details. This came during a meeting he has held at the beginning of February to discuss several proposed mechanisms to boost Egyptian exports. The meeting was attended by Minister of Finance Mohammed Mait, Minister of Trade and Industry Ahmed Samir, Head of the Egyptian Federation Industries Mohammed Iswidi, and representatives of various industrial sectors. Premier Madbouli emphasized the state's commitment through its various agencies to provide necessary support for Egyptian exports. He noted that ambitious plans are in place to overcome obstacles and increase exports to reach $100 billion in value despite current economic challenges. The Prime Minister highlighted the importance of regular follow-ups and continuous communication with private sector representatives, especially the FEI and the Chambers of Commerce. He stressed the need to evaluate and review the export support program in line with the state's commitment to provide more support to exporters. The African market was identified as a promising destination for exports, with the need to support sectors with significant export potential, such as outsourcing the information technology, calling for a support monetary policy for exporters. The meeting discussed challenges facing export industries, including current conditions in the Red Sea region affecting maritime shipping and ways to attract investments, providing production inputs locally instead of importing them. The participants called for additional support for the Egyptian Export Support Program. Madbouli stressed the importance of meeting local market needs for production inputs by attracting manufacturing investments, reducing import bill, and deepening local and manufacturing. He highlighted the necessity of increasing productivity through expanding existing projects and attracting new investments. Sweden acknowledged the current challenges but emphasized the presence of significant opportunities for increasing Egyptian exports, which are currently characterized by their low value in the international market. He underscored the need to gradually manufacture production inputs locally. Madbouli reiterated the importance of supporting national industries, expressing full confidence in the capabilities of the Egyptian industry. He emphasized the necessity of relying on Egyptian products and gradually improving their quality to meet the domestic market's needs instead of importing from abroad.
Welcome back. Thank you very much, Abir Hussein and Rasha Abdelhamid, for this report. Back here in the studio with Dr. Zeinab Nawar, the professor of economics at the Egypt University of Informatics. And Dr. Zeinab, the industrial cities in many countries are very important for economic development, for the creation of jobs, sometimes for the creation of new communities as well. So talk to us about the importance of the industrial cities that we have here in Egypt, and we have many, many of them scattered across several governorates here in the country.
Yes, once we are going to talk about the industrial cities and also industrial zones and the importance of these important industrial hubs in Egypt. Actually, we had a long history of creating these industrial hubs and industrial zones, and we were to some extent successful in getting a good output from these zones in terms of amount of production, in terms of facilities, in terms of infrastructure also, and several reforms had been made in several laws and regulations just to give them facilities in taxation payment and also in dealing with the different governmental agencies and all of that. So yes, it had played a great role. But what we can say that we still need more and more to be done for the industrial cities here in Egypt. I mean that we are facing a lot of challenges, internal challenges and also external challenges. We need to focus more on how to make the Egyptian product a competitive product, how to enter different markets, how to go to the rest of the world, how to support more these industrial zones, what they do actually need in terms of advice, in terms of expansion of the business itself. Actually, I have a question I need to address to whatever who is interested in the industrial zones about what about the monitoring of the performance of the different industries in these industrial zones. I mean, if you are saying that we have some of these industrial zones actually for the small scale of business. So we need more focus with them. We need to know to what extent they had reached their production capacity, what eventually the business in these industrial zones and areas they do truly need. We need to have some officials to go to them and speak to the different youth working in these zones. I mean, we have plenty of zones here in Egypt. Some of them are truly successful and some of them they are facing challenges and obstacles, a lot of obstacles.
So you're telling us
yes.
that we need to make sure that industrial zones and industrial cities are working efficiently.
Yes.
That's much, much more important than having new industrial zones or a big number of industrial zones. You want to make sure that they are working efficiently, right?
Yes, we need to do like a double check. Yani I will give you an example. If we are mentioning Burj Al Arab, one of the industrial zones in Alexandria. So once you will have a walk there, you will find that some of the factories there are closed and not working anymore. So we need to ask why these factories are not working, what is the gap, what is the leakage, what are their problems. I mean that we need just to go down into the field more than that and to trace their performance. Because once we have a factory in a place, in an industrial zone, we need to ensure that, yes, it works properly and it works also efficiently. We have a lot of successful factories and we have a lot of successful also businessmen working there, but also we have some obstacles that we need to trace and to see what went wrong, especially when we're talking about the scale of the small not medium, small enterprises. They need a hell of support. They need a lot of support from the government. They need to a lot of advice related to the marketing, related to how to work on economic visibility study, how to sell properly inside Egypt, how to maintain the quality, and also how to sell outside, and how like to do like some sort of like we can say that once we are a business is going to export outside Egypt, so they will have like we can say different scopes of production. Category number A to be exported to Europe and US, for example. Category B to be exported to Africa and different countries in the region. So the business in these industrial zones needs a lot of practice and needs a lot of advice, especially when we talk about the small scale of business.
Right. How do you like the fact that those zones are scattered almost across all of the country? I mean, across the many of the country's governorates, including, of course, Cairo, Suez, Ismailia, Port
Yes,
Said,
this is good because
Alexandria,
you
Upper
want
Egypt,
to create more
New
opportunities for
Valley.
jobs.
Yeah.
industrializations and working in industry, different types of industries, this is very good. But you have to ensure that this industry is working properly given the current situation that we are having right now. So yes, scattered in different, scattered in different governorates, especially in Upper Egypt. This is very important because you are encouraging the youth there to create their own projects in their governorates, and this is very important because the youth in whatever Suhag and Qina in whatever and Asyut, if they can, they will start to work on their project in this governorate, creating more jobs, creating more opportunities. So this is of course of great thing. But once again, what the business actually needs, what the youth truly need, this is what the government should focus on to ensure that the business is going well in these industrial zones.
Right. The local component in the industry, you've been talking a lot for years now about the importance of that local component, which will certainly save foreign currency, save us foreign currency. So how important is it, and how are we faring in those efforts?
This is a point of what I can say. How can I just tell you? 50% of what we are exporting, so in terms of production, 50% of what we're exporting in production, whatever products that we are exporting, 50% of them needs, and what I can say, needs to import whatever a raw material, intermediate product to be manufactured and then to export to the rest of the world. So actually in Egypt it's a deep problem about how to ensure that you are manufacturing.
You said
100%,
50, almost 50%.
From so what you're exporting needs that you have to import.
So do you mean that the other 50% that we are exporting depends totally on local components?
Yes, some of them.
So we should focus more on that.
This is good, but we are exporting.
And give more support to that and more endorsement to that 50%.
Yes, this is good. But once again, once you are saying that, to do an export to the rest of the world,
you have to import.
So you have to import for 50% of the. This is too much. This is a lot. Given that some of
and you burn the foreign currency. Yeah?
Yes, some of the product that you are exporting, some of them are agricultural products. So, maybe we will have it 100%. Of course, it will be in our agricultural lands. But what about the seeds? What about, do we export this? Do we import the seeds, or we have it locally here in Egypt? Also, this is a big question. So, to the localization of made in Egypt, and to ensure that you have something that you are exporting and manufacturing inside Egypt that is 100% from an Egyptian component, needs a hell of work, needs a comprehensive strategy to entail all and different industries, all and different agricultural products, and to see what are the gaps. Sometimes we have gaps related to the suppliers themselves. Sometimes the supplier who are exporting the product, he doesn't know that maybe he has some of his, what I can say, raw material. If you just do like a switch in the way or the technique of manufacturing, he may use a local supplier in a way or another.
A local component.
You don't have this type of, what I can say, connecting suppliers all together. You need to do that and to understand comprehensively for each industry what are the linkages, what are the gaps, why we are importing a certain raw material to manufacture a certain product.
Are you saying that sometimes we do have that raw material here at home,
yes,
yet the manufacturer goes and imports those components?
Sometimes.
Why? So why would anyone do that?
Sometimes the manufacturer here in Egypt, he's using a certain techniques, and he's not looking for other alternatives. He just got used that he's using like a certain, what I can say, chemical component, a certain type of glasses for his manufacturing, and then he knows that another type it will not be working, and he didn't do the sufficient trials just to make this type of accommodation, maybe because of the, what I can say, the lack of technicalities, the lack of technology. This is one of the things that we do have also, that some of the manufacturers here, they have this systems, they have these tools, these machines, and they're just working and they're just getting the raw material, and then they know their markets, and that's it. They are not looking for different alternatives, because looking for different alternatives sometimes means that he has to change the way that he is doing the business, or
Right.
is doing the
maybe,
industry itself.
Okay. Or maybe it is that they are gaining more by doing it that way. I mean, for some reason or another.
It was the easiest solution.
The easy
I'm sorry to tell you.
solution, yeah.
I'm so sorry to tell you
The
so.
easy solution,
As an
yeah.
economist, I was astonished to know that we have a giant corporation. They had made a hell of money because of the importation. That's it. Because of that, we used for a lot of years to just import, and this is the easiest solution, and getting whatever the quality, and then getting whatever product entering the market, and that's it. So by the time, even for the local industry, they became lazy. They became lazy to find solution. They became lazy to find a ways to compete. They became lazy to look for alternatives.
Or is there a cartel of dominant importers, a big network of dominant importers that will not allow this to happen? At the expense of the country.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm just asking you.
It used to be this way. Yes, it used to be, and it used to be for many of years. And we used to have big of these monopolist cartels, whatever, and they made a lot of money out of,
at the expense of the country.
Of course. Of course, and at that time, the rule of the government, that at that time that they should, in a way or another, just to stop that, and to stop this easy way of doing business, because we used to depend on the easy way of manufacturing, and then we are paying the price. But now this is not the case anymore.
Good.
Because of the government is
Good to
changing the game now.
Good to
by
hear.
saying that no, less imports. We are sorry, we're not going to depend on more of importation, because we need, of course, we need this imports and this raw material for manufacturing, whether to sell for the local market or to export.
And there are priorities.
However,
anyway.
It's by gradually, the government actually had done that gradually. By
to depend more on
yes,
the
to
local
put
companies.
obstacles for this huge amount of imports that used to enter the country, whether it's a necessity or not a necessity products. So not anymore.
And you agree with that?
Yes, I
agree with that
definitely
philosophy?
I agree with that. But still, that we have for some industries, we have for some.
We have to depend
yes,
on some.
sometimes you have to get the
imported
raw material.
materials, right?
So it's yes, this is a necessity, and you have to help them to do so. But other types of unnecessities, this is not should be the case, and you have to stop this monopoly. You have to stop those people of making a lot of money out
At the expense of millions of people.
And we are paying the price now, because we are now in a different scene
Tough
worldwide,
economic,
and a different
situation.
scene in Egypt. If we had done. And if we had done, and we worked on this in what we can say, not using the easiest way, but it was maybe the hardest way 20, 30 years ago, I think that we would be in a better situation now.
All right. Dr. Zeinab, again, how can the government and the private sector as well encourage the local component more, encourage the manufacturing of components, of local components, encourage those in that field, or researchers, maybe scientific researchers that look for certain materials here in our country? How can we do that?
There is an initiative right now, and there is a project in the Center of Modernization of Industry. They are working on that. They are trying to get and collect information about different industries, and to see the linkages between the suppliers, and what are the gaps, and what is needed for them in terms of raw material to manufacture, and all of this. This is good, but I will tell you something. We're still here in Egypt, and for the government level, we need to know more, what we can say, in depth, and more understanding of the true Egyptian economy, of the true linkages between the business.
I'll stop you there, because that's a very important point. And I need you to expand on it. So allow us first, because we have to take a break. So we'll take it now, and then we'll take it from there. How we have to do all of this in relationship to our economic priorities. Okay. Dr. Zeinab Nawar and myself will be back to continue our discussion here in Business Insider momentarily, dear viewers. Please do not go away. Welcome back, dear viewers. We're talking here about a key issue for Egyptian industry, which is the strategy or the vision to depend more on local components. And our guest here, Dr. Zeinab Nawar, was telling us about how important that is, but that we have to do this in taking into consideration our economic goals or economic priorities and so on. So.
Yes, what I'm saying that to get out of that, actually, we had the initiative and the program of the Center of Modernization of Industry. They are trying to work in a strategy where they are collecting data about certain sectors, and then they're trying for each sector to see who are the manufacturers, and then for each one, just to ask them to bring whatever they were allowing about information about their industry and the linkage with different suppliers, and they are just starting to see where are the gaps for someone who's going like to manufacture a t-shirts, for example. What are the leakages? What exactly the manufacturer needs, whether it's cotton in terms of t-shirts made of cotton, whether the threads itself, whether sometimes the chemicals used to make like the colors for the clothes and all of this. So by doing this, this is very good, is to trace each and every industry and to see what are the components actually that you need to bring from local market, you need to bring from outside the Egyptian market to manufacture product X. And then we will like do this type of what I can say swap analysis, why saying that, of course. So if we're just working on to make these types of product that you used to bring it from outside locally, what exactly we need, why we don't manufacture this type of chemicals, this type of threads inside the local economy, and then you start to, this is better, start to work on that. This is their beginning of work.
Right. So can I tell that manufacturer that you have the component that you need here in the country, so you're not allowed to get it from outside the country? I mean, you have to get it from here, from inside. Can I do that?
If the component exists. If the manufacturer found that the component is in the same quality and with a less price, definitely he will use it.
That's arbitrary.
This is definitely he will do so. Why the manufacturer is trying to get whatever raw materials from outside of the country? Because of the quality. Because maybe there is a problem related to the quality.
Right.
Maybe because the raw material itself, it will be so hard to be manufactured. And we have this issue for some of raw materials. It will be so hard and so costly to manufacture.
That it would be cheaper to import it?
Yes, for some. Yes, for some of those, but that we need to make them the minimum of part of the game. But for the most of what we can manufacture inside Egypt, we'll do it. So yes, if it will be with the same quality and with less price and with less hassle and less problems for getting the whatever, the US dollar, dealing with banks and all of this, I have the market, and the market is open, and we're just doing the business inside Egypt, and then we have no problems in that. So definitely I will use whatever I do have from the local market.
The issue about Egypt here is that it is such a huge market, such a big market that has a lot of needs and a lot of wants, and different social stratas exist. So you just, can manufacture anything and you'll always find a buyer, whether that thing is very costly for the end customer, medium price, low price, very, very high quality, medium quality, low quality. I mean, you'll always find your customer.
Yes, yes, and we have a huge potential inside Egypt. We have a lot of resources, we have a lot of abilities, we have a lot of we have a lot of expertise everywhere, and we have a lot of good minds that they would think out of the box and will find the good solutions. So I think that it's about the efficient use of the resources and efficient use of people. It's about the government also to know truly what's going on. I mean that, yes, we are a huge market, but it will not be hard for the government to understand the characteristics and the types and the scattering and whatever the scopes of these different markets. Because once again,
Is that
this is
artificial
the work.
intelligence?
This is the work of the economists, and this is the work of the planners who are planning for their countries and planning for the economies. It's not so hard to do the planning.
We need better planning. We need more
We
planning.
need
Focus
better
more
planning,
on planning.
more focus, more working in the field. We need to go in the field. I think that working in offices is nice and doing planning at office, but here in Egypt, and given the characteristics of Egypt and the Egyptian economy, and for the developing countries, this is something. But for countries like us, like Egypt, we need the officials to go down and to understand and to have a lot of talk and to understand deeply what's going on in the Egyptian market.
And more monitoring, you said earlier.
In more monitoring, of course, because more monitoring, this is to ensure efficiency. If you have business X is not working, Y is not working, what we can do for this business to once again to start their work, what are their problems? And we have to facilitate this. This is the rule one of the important rules of the government, actually.
All right. On that note, we thank very much, dear viewers, our dear guest here in the studio with us, Dr. Zeinab Nawar, the Professor of Economics at the Egypt University of Informatics. Always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zeinab. Thank you, dear viewers, for watching us. This is Mohammed Abdurrahim, and this is a good night.